Hello, my kindred spirits. How are you? I'm Adrienne with Sushena Gypsy, and I am here to introduce myself and bring myself out into the world. So I hope you are all having a wonderful day. It's the spring equinox in 2025, March 20th, and it is been quite the week, I would say. We are sandwiched. Listen to that beautiful heron. We are sandwiched right in between two eclipses, right? Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde. And I just happen to be getting hit like all over the place this last year. Like Mars retrograde, right? Like my Mars is in Cancer, my Venus and my Mercury are in Aries. And you know, I'm a Pisces sun, Taurus rising, Moon conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. Nice, beautiful, mutable T-square with the Sun as the apex, squaring Neptune, Vesta, and Pallas Athene in the 8th house, opposing my Moon and Jupiter in Gemini in the 2nd house. So for those of you that are not familiar with astrology, I hope that by listening to my videos and bringing up different personal events or other events that I've observed throughout my years, that you are empowered to just kind of understand your charts and your astrology and the feeling of astrology, right? And of course, whatever our beautiful guided star map is, every astrologer is going to have their own interpretation according to how they alchemize with the cosmos, right? And so I have been longing to finally do this. I mean, I was like, oh, let me get all dressed up and put on makeup and I have to write a video. Like, to be honest with you, my Taurus rising, like, let me roll around in the mud, okay? I am like happy being in nature, hugging a tree. I don't want to be stuck in front of a computer all day, right? But there goes for it. So let me just give you a little bit of that history. I have been studying astrology for, eons. I was first introduced through astronomy when I was 8 years old in 1986. And then it just grew from there, and of course in its phases, because for anybody with any Gemini qualities, you know that you are like all over the place, right? Like Gemini is like, yes, oh, look, there's a squirrel, right? Oh, my, there's a heron. Yes, very distracted, can be very indecisive at times, but also very diplomatic and social, and it's about details. And so you get Jupiter there, and like the details are even bigger. And the learning, the knowledge, oh my God, let me learn as much as possible, right? So, astrology, right? I was brought up where I was kind of conditioned to not really listen to my intuition, even though I was like the boo-boo one of the family. I'm the oldest out of both sides of my family, the oldest child, and I'm the one that was gonna be like taking animals home. I've always been a healer, taking animals, taking people, working on healing, working with herbs, just knowing and connecting, climbing trees, hanging on trees. Yes. And that's kind of never stopped. Hence why I have 5 cats and a parrot. I want to heal. I want to heal everybody. In fact, I'm sending you all healing energy right now. Just sending you that Reiki. And as you look at this beautiful view and this pine tree, like, grounding. We're all gonna need that, especially for those of us that tend to be ungrounded. Walker between worlds, right? So, astrology, right? Cards. I started reading cards when I was 16. I've always been interested in everything like metaphysical. And the body, right? My appendix almost burst when I was 9 years old, and so I was rushed to the emergency room, and I had to figure out why. What the hell was my appendix? And so that started my, actually no it didn't, but it enhanced. There were some other events that actually started me studying anatomy and physiology. And then it kind of grew into the other parts of anatomy and physiology. But it has been, it's been a journey. So there's a lot of self-worth issues going on with, some dysfunctional. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, latchkey kid, right? Not to diminish anything that I went through, but not to be like, oh, poor, woe me. Like, it is what it is. We picked our lessons. We knew what we were coming here for. We chose this life. We chose our parents. We chose our tribe. And so there's that acceptance there. So I've like worked with animals. I've worked with horses. I've worked with cows. I milked cows for a while. I was always looking for a different experience, learning something new. I mean, anytime you teach me something new, I'm like totally about it. But direct care has been my main, direct care and healing has been my main schmo, I guess, throughout the years. When I graduated, it was about, working with Clayton College of Natural Medicine. It was a home program. And of course, I was 18. I had to go out and experience life, and I got a little wild, so I didn't do much with that, but still totally intrigued. And then I became pregnant with my first daughter in 2003, and learning about the birthing process and knowing I did not want my kid in a hospital. I mean, I never had any problem like kind of being like the candy striper in the hospital. I grew up around in hospitals a lot. My grandparents were in the hospital a lot, and so was my mom. And so I was always comfortable on the provider end. I was never comfortable as a patient. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, if I'm gonna treat myself, I'm gonna heal myself. I was always adamant about that. And so when I became pregnant with my daughter, I decided to become a midwife assistant. I hired a midwife. I was doing this all within. There's this amazing book. If any of you women are interested in birthing at home or birthing in a birthing center, or birthing in water, like water births are the bomb. And it's called Spiritual Birthing Within. I can't remember the name of the author, but that is amazing. Like, it just talks about the history of birth and how we're supposed to be having babies. And did you know, like, by the way, that in the US we have the highest mortality rate for birth? Like, we're supposed to be one of the most highly technologized, technology wise countries, and like, honestly, I'm sorry, but as far as we go in medicine, we suck. I am saying that straight out. So, and of course that got even deeper throughout the last few years. So being a midwife assistant, I started training, being a midwife assistant. I became a CNA, was working with some patients that were elderly, and then decided to go to nursing school. I mean, I love nursing, but I also have a little bit of an attitude sometimes. It's like, yes, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna change the world. I've had a few lessons with that. Sometimes I gotta realize that one person against how many million is not always the easiest, right? And but I got into nursing, and I got so blessed because I started working with a midwife assistant through nursing school and became a postpartum nurse. And then I started working for her husband, who was an OBGYN, and he was like the dad of medicine for me. He was amazing. I call him my dad of medicine. He basically taught me how to be a doctor, and I loved medicine. But, during that time, of course, I ended up getting pregnant with my second daughter. And my wake up, I started awakening during that process, although I didn't realize it at the time, right? I get pregnant with my second daughter. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna do this all naturally. I had the most awesome support from the doctor and the midwife, and like, I'm gonna do this alone. I don't want any doctors in there. I know what I'm doing. I know some medical people might be like, oh my God, like what can happen? Like, all of the danger, but I knew, like, when you just know that things are gonna be all right. And then, like, the fact that I was even pregnant that was the first part, right? Like of being like, oh my God, like miracles like really, really happen. Because I had gotten pregnant on 2 forms of birth control on my part. I always got to say that on my part. And so this little being was so meant to be. And so through that process, you know, I stayed strong, was like high priestess goddess energy when I was pregnant, you know, working at the office, private office, OBGYN. And then of course the birthing center was right next to it. And I just was determined to make this the best pregnancy I was ever going to have, because I had no intention of ever having any more children. And I was certainly not having any more children afterwards. 2 was enough at that point. Like 2 is definitely more than enough for me. And so, yes. And her birth was beautiful. In a tub, by myself with her father there and my daughter there and a friend that was taking pictures. But yeah, awesome. It went, you know, from going from a 30-hour labor with my first daughter to an 8-hour labor with my second, quite easy. My second was in the water, like birds in the water. And it's my highest moment of my life. It is the highest, because there's so much trauma that can go around birthing, right? From the doctor, from them trying to tell you what to do. I mean, I had already experienced some of that with my first daughter, but I'm always like, I'm not the nicest person when it comes to how I'm gonna be treated by doctors with my body. I'm actually quite obstinate, and I can be pretty righteous sometimes. The bitch totally comes out like, this is my body, you don't know me, you've known me for 10 minutes, okay? Like, no, known this body for as long as I've been alive and then some, okay? So that's the attitude that I go into with the medical field, with any kind of healing. And that's the attitude that I try to empower others, you know, others with. Like, you are totally amazing. You know your body. Like, don't let anyone tell you that you don't know your body, even if you can't, you know, elaborate, or even, or that you don't know the anatomy and physiology. Like, you don't need to know all that. Like, it helps. And I definitely use that to my advantage, but you know your body. You know when things feel right. So hence comes my daughter in 2009. And it was amazing. And then, of course, everything just kind of started falling apart after that. I was in a very toxic relationship. That has been one of my biggest lessons. I knew nothing about the word empath at that point in my life. I knew there was energy medicine. I knew you could heal with energy. I'd always been interested in that, although I thought I was nuts, so I kind of kept it quiet. And I kept a lot of my psychic gifts just quiet and suppressed, because it just wasn't something you really talked about around people. And then they would definitely look at you like you had 2 or 3 or 4 heads. So yes, there was that. Now, years of being a nurse, right? Nursing, OBGYN, definitely not a corporate girl. Throughout that time, right, because all of this is like so not linear, but so is, I started massaging when I was 16. My mom had a friend, she had some college friends, and they're like, hey, you want to come massage me for 20 bucks an hour? Which in 1994, when $4.35 an hour was the minimum wage, why not? So I started massaging, and I kept that as a hobby throughout my life, pretty much, until I became a massage therapist. And of course, my battery's gonna be low. I've recorded like twice already, right? So, yeah, let me just, I'll speed this up a little bit more, because I feel like I can talk forever. I became a massage therapist. You know, there was some suppression of that too. I kind of grew up in a family where like artistry, astrology, like massage, none of that was like really practical until I became a licensed massage therapist in 2013. And then my world blew up. I mean, that was around the time of my awakening. I had 2 near-death experiences in 2010 and 2011, which we will get to someday in another episode. But after my near-death experience in 2011, that's when things started getting like extra woo-woo. And then the massage just brought it even deeper into the woo-woo, but it exploded. My life like exploded in so many good ways. Now I would have to say my biggest, the law of attraction was in there. I've got the book, The Law of Attraction, in 2011. And I would have to say that spiritual bypassing and then working so much to the point where I burned out and I was disassociating from my body because I was in other people's bodies so often, ended up catching up with me here the last few years. So as much as I've been longing to do astrology, which I have been doing astrology for my clients in person, of course it's always been a more in person, this whole like new remote online thing, video recording, is all new to me and I'm really excited about it. So I hope that you'll stay with me and get to know me through the blunders. There's some astrology. There's always some astrological correspondences, especially to those awakenings, and I will have some episodes on that. But yes, I am here as Adrienne Provence, Sushena Gypsy, to dive into the world of astrology and healing, definitely geared towards empaths and healers and, you know, anybody else going through their own transformation, because we are on a collective awakening right now, and there's so many of us that have had awakenings pre-2021, right? And the help and the popularity, the knowingness was not out there at that point. By the way, Neptune was just going into Pisces in 2011, and in 2008, when my awakening started happening subtly, Pluto was going into Capricorn in the 9th house. So for any of those of you that like want to think about the 9th house, like that is a definite house where it brings that higher self down into yourself of learning. And it's sign fashion. I use whole sign house systems. So my 9th house is Capricorn. So there's, you know, there's lots of karma that had to be worked through. There is lots of standing in my power, and then just that constant dedication and discipline with learning. So it has been amazing. So I am so happy that you're here. If you listen through all of this video and me mumbling, I will continue to make more. We'll definitely have to be outside during most of it, because again, lovers of nature, like let's just take the energy in and ground. I am doing readings if anybody is interested. You can find me at Sushena Gypsy on Instagram. I'm here on YouTube, of course. I'm also on Facebook under Sushena Gypsy, and you can always email me as well at Adrienne, ADRIENNE at SushenaGypsy.com, as I build this foundation, bring myself out, and hope to connect with a whole lot of you. Like, so many of you have such amazing stories to tell. That has been the biggest thing throughout my life, right? The genealogy that I started when I was 14, and meeting all my family members, like some of them that were like over 100 years old. Nursing and my clients, like everybody has their story, and everybody has this amazing power inside them, and we all just need to connect to somebody else just to kind of realize that and share that. And that's not always easy to remember in the world that we're in. It's kind of crazy, right? Like with all the online and the AI and everything going on, but connection, that in-person connection, and even, you know, as I've experienced the last several months listening to the YouTubes of all these amazing astrologers and intuitives and psychics, has really helped uplifted me in a lot of ways and also inspired me. So there's lots of inspiration to be out there. So for those of you that are part of my soul tribe, I hope to meet you in some form or fashion, connect with you. I hope that you connect with me. I hope that you have a wonderful equinox. We are totally starting a whole new cycle, right? We've got Aries, we've got Neptune and Saturn going into Aries here soon, and this year is just totally crazy. So I hope that you enjoy. I'm so glad that you've watched. If you watched through here with me like mumbling and like just going on, and I totally appreciate you. So I hope that you have the most wonderful day, and I will see you again soon. Okay? Have a good day.